Welcome to another episode of Current Affairs series by Amrita IAS Academy. One of the most important topics which was in discussion for the entire week was cervical cancer. The same term was repeatedly in news, not for one reason but for two different entire reasons. The first one was the declaration of the Honorable Finance Minister of India regarding the starting of an immunization program to prevent cervical cancer.
Cervical cancer vaccination. Our government will encourage vaccination for girls in the age group of 9 to 14 years for prevention of cervical cancer.
Here, the aim is to provide vaccinations, cervical cancer prevention vaccinations, to girls within the age group of 9 to 14. Another reason why the term cervical cancer was in news was because an actress faked her own death so that people could be educated about the terms regarding cervical cancer. Let us now look into the details of cervical cancer and the causes for this disease and also how we can cure or prevent this disease. Cervical cancer is one of the most common cancer occurrences in women around the world. Around the world, it is the fourth most common cancer, and with regards to India, it is the second most cancer occurring in women. Considering the huge number of proportion of women in India and the huge risk which they are exposed to cervical cancer, it is necessary so that it should be restricted or controlled immediately. That's why the recent budget is stressing on immunization of children with respect to cervical cancer. Now the first question arises, what causes cervical cancer? The answer is simple. With respect to cervical cancer, the most common, almost 98% of the times, the cause is a virus called HPV, which is human papilloma virus. And this particular virus, human papilloma virus, is a family of like 200 similar viruses. And what causes is that this virus infects the cervical area of women's uterus and it causes to the cancer. Cervical cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer deaths in India. Around 70,000 women had died in just 2020. That is, 3 years before, 70,000 women died because of cervical cancer. And that is a very much big concern. And that raises the next question. Is it preventable? And also, is it curable? And for both the questions, the answer is 1. Yes, it is preventable and yes, it is curable. The most effective prevention method for human papilloma virus is the administering of vaccine before the first sexual intercourse of the person. And for that reason, around the world, the vaccination is given to women when they are at the age group of 9 to 14 or when they are below the age of 15, so that they can be prepared to prevent the infection due to HPV. Last year, Serum Institute of India had developed a vaccine to prevent cervical cancer, and that is Cervavac. And Cervavac is a quadrivalent vaccine which is very much effective against human papilloma virus. And for this vaccine, Cervavac, the Drug Controller General of India and also the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization had also given the thumbs up so that this indigenous vaccine, the first indigenous vaccine developed by India to prevent cervical cancer, can be rolled out as part of the immunization program of the Government of India. And one another important thing which we need to look into in this matter is regarding the vaccine called Cervavac, which was developed by Serum Institute of India. Cervavac is a quadrivalent vaccine, which means this particular vaccine can be used to induce 4 antigens, which may help in preventing HPV in multiple dimensions. That is one thing which we need to understand. One another thing, how this vaccine works. This vaccine contains virus-like particles, VLPs, in it. And the specialty of this particular thing is that here, instead of dead or inactive viruses, what we are using is particles or elements which could mimic the activities of the virus. And thus, when this particular vaccine enters our body, the components of it, that is the virus-like particles, will help the antibodies in our own body to develop immunity. And this particular vaccine is similar to the one which is currently used for hepatitis B prevention. And that's it regarding the topic of discussion, hepatitis B. Signing off, I am Maneesh Nambiar, faculty at Amrita IAS Academy.
Amrita IAS Academy.